Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing this morning? Hey, Stefan and Val and KK Chrome. Who else we got here? Hi, NS something. John, how are you? Dominic, Adam, how are you? Evil non European Swiss Alp dwellers. What was that? Non Swiss Alp dwellers. Okay, let's see what's going on. Uh, hey, Raj, how are you? How's everything over in the UK? Fahrenheit, how are you? Good dog. Good dog to you, too. Hey, Johnny B. All right. Nice and warm. Yeah, it's, I don't know. They had the jet stream dropped way down, and now we get uh, some of the places are going to have snow. Here it is, May 8th. It's snow. It's not much, but it's just sort of something weird. Um, okay, no. Let me give you guys an update. The Kevin, where's that? Where it's blazing hot. Um, anyway, I got an email from Nicholas Vitarek, and he said they're working on it as fast as they can, and they're working on something, but he's busy with something. I don't know what. Not necessarily ours, but possibly. I don't know. Trying to figure out how to put something together for us. So anyway, that's good news. He said give him a few days, so we'll just wait a few days. Hey, Flip and Zippo, how are you today? Let's see. National Postal Service private part charge crazy brokerage fees like $50 on a $5 duty. Good grief, that's nuts. Hi, Clyde, how you doing? 66 and cloudy today. The flyover states. 66 and cloudy is nice weather. It's a very comfy weather. It's kind of, it's great for walking too, because you go out and you're not getting fried or you're not freezing. Okay, uh, so that's where we are as far as the movement's concerned, and you know, that's that was how come I put patience. Also, too, I my Friday video, I didn't get it up because yesterday I ended up there's all kinds of stuff that I had to take care of yesterday, so it was late. I was up till midnight and still didn't get it done, so I had to finish it up this morning and put it up. It was all done. I just had to load it and do all of the other stuff that you have to do. So everything is back on track. Hey Abdul, how's it going? Um, 72 VAT and custom duties are not what I can see on the receipt. Okay. Um, we can flatten the curve like we are supposed to have before. God, I don't know. I don't know. There's too many curves to flatten right now, it seems. Political curve. They just keep getting worse and worse. So, yeah. Hey, Paul, how you doing? Well, let's forget about the pandemic, bad politics, and weirdness, and try to talk about watches, which leads us right back into weirdness. But it's a weirdness we know more about. Um, okay, all right, flipping Zippo, zip it. we 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 want to forget about it for a while. Okay. I don't know. I'm as bad as everybody else. I mean, how can you? You know, you're in the middle of a pandemic and says, "Well, we'll just ignore it." That's that's what our leaders do. All right, so let's talk about some things. We may have talked about this the other day, but I was thinking about it more. I came across an article, and it was this simple little line. I think it was about. I think Richemont was part of it. Well, Richemont was part of it, but I'm trying to remember what the context of the article was. And it also involves our friend Biver, Biver, whatever how you pronounce it. Somebody write the uh, phonemes for it, and I'll see if I can say it right. All right. Biver said that the what do you think? So the gray market was the cancer of luxury watch business. Okay, so mm, I don't think so, and I think that they have certain delusions of times gone by that are no longer here, and they're trying to re-dig that up. Hi, Sean. And here's what their dilemma is. On the one hand, you can charge a lot if a perceived product is an exclusive luxury product. Now, there are different ways that you can make an exclusive luxury product, and that is to have a certain kind of time consuming craftsmanship that is dependent on a rare skill. Perhaps the most dramatic example of that, or the defined example of that, is Roger Smith. Okay, he starts off and cranks out the metal, starts with a rod and goes through the process and ends up with a watch. All right, now he makes about 10 of those a year because the rest of the time he does something else. I don't know what it is out on the Isle of Man. And okay, so you have that. So if you have a Roger Smith, you have a very expensive watch and one that's very hard to get. I know people are on 15, 20 year waiting list to get one of his watches, and his watches are like 100,000 and north. And on the used market, they're even more because people see a Roger Smith and it's $125,000 on Collected Man, and it's gone the next day because they don't have to wait 15 years and they have the money. Okay, so that's one of the things, and the rarity is based on the skill and time it takes to make one. All right, so what happened was that after the quartz crisis back in the 60s, 70s, somewhere in there, the um, the whole idea of working on a precision mechanical watch sort of went out the window because the watches coming down were way more accurate. Okay, so finally, they had to figure out a way to charge a lot of money to cover their expenses and keep on doing what they had been doing for the last 100 years or whatever. And they came up with an idea. And the guy, one of the guys who was instrumental in this was Biver. And so Biver or Beaver, he, their idea was is that you have sort of what I call a pseudo exclusivity. And by that, you simply have a limited amount of watches that are available. Rolex is a master at this. They really are. They got people lined up and they're paying premiums and everything else. Now, here is the great dilemma that they face. When haute couture or high fashion became a thing after World War II, and people had more disposable income, houses like Chanel and Givenchy and a number of these other ones, they started uh, selling these very expensive clothes. The thing was that there was a limited number of people who could afford them. All right. So the bean counter said, look, why don't we have these things knocked off? We got a lot of starving people in Italy or somewhere where they'll work for next to nothing. and we can make a profit, and we'll use the same designs. And so they started doing that, and people who wanted high fashion could get it because it was no longer, if you wanted a blouse or a skirt, this is for a woman or for some people, that you could you could get one at places like Macy's or Gimbels or some of the better department stores. And they had to be very careful about this because there were more people with a little money than and there are very few people with a whole lot of money, and this has become even a greater divide. There's been a lot of talk about that, especially here in the U.S. So as you have a smaller and smaller group of people who can afford, some of these watches, except some of us idiots, and I include myself in that bunch. Um, what are you going to do? Okay, well, you have to. You do one or two things. You either cut your production so that you serve only a very small group of people, but with a small group of people, you can only make so much money. So if you're serving 1,000 people instead of 1,000,000, um, the bean counters are going to say, "Hey, look, Jack, if you lowered it to this amount, you'd make 10 times as much money," and they will, and they did. It's exactly what happened. And then if they couldn't sell everything, then it went down, and finally it ends up at places like Marshalls and some of the other places like that. And so people can go in there and get exactly the same high fashion. Now, to a great extent, the same thing has started to happen with high horology and expensive luxury watches. Because on the one hand, they'd like a larger market. Let's say somebody who can afford a $1,000 watch. And by the way, too, we get so used to thinking of $1,000 as cheap. It's not. I mean, when you stop and think about it, it's a lot of money for a blasted watch. But then then you start talking about 5,000, and it's not very much. It is. It really is. Very few people could take $5,000 of their income or their resources and buy a watch. Well, the other things that started to happen were going into these excuse me, secondary, sound like Bugs Bunny, going into a secondary market where they would pick up the overage. All right. And so instead of having to, you know, stick it in a boat and send it off the shore and sink the boat, or send it to someplace else that was, they'd give the things away almost. What they did is that they said, well, look, what we can do, we can keep the exclusivity of this up. And the way we can do it is we'll simply buy back everything that hasn't been sold, and we'll put a new paint job on them and kick them out the door as a novelty. Now, there's, when people they're talking about these reference numbers, they love their reference numbers. Oh, it's this and this and this and this. And it's just the same watch with a different paint job because they don't pay enough attention to the movements and especially the details of the movement. They get all excited if I said, "Hey, they put a new hairspring in there that's got silicone in it," and whoa, But on the other hand, it's the same watch, just with a different, some little feature that's different, not much, and so they don't have to go back and retool it and redesign it and redo everything with it. So, uh, Richemont spent $500 million rebuying IWC, um, Piaget, and Cartier watches that were unsold. There must have been a lot of them. $500 million in watches is no small amount. So, so here you have this. So now, that's like losing $500 million. And true, some of it goes back into giving them a new paint job, a new dial, a new hands, a new strap. But it's really the same watch getting recycled. You don't have that with high fashion. I mean, you don't say, "Oh, hey, take this dress from 2018 that's no longer in style and make it a 2020 style. But with watches, they don't have a problem with that. Now, every now and then, you have a really a new movement, something really dramatic like Augengraph, or like one was in the watches I was reviewing today, the Altiplano that Piaget has. Thin, real thin, neat watch. I love that watch. But they want 20 something $1,000 for it. Well, see, somebody sees 20 something $1,000 and thinking, I could get an FP Journe for that, or I could get a Patek Philippe. And in their heads, they're thinking either the FP Journe or the Patek Philippe or the Elonga or one of those is got to be worth more than this little thin watch and by Piaget. Piaget is sort of considered an okay brand. Some of their stuff is, by one definition, high horology, and since they're part of the Richemont stable, uh, they would probably be counted as such. So here's the dilemma that they have now. For us as collectors, we're watching this. It's almost like watching a Punch and Judy show, because how often can they afford, or how can anybody but Richemont afford to buy back $500 million in watches? And they did that. Now, just by happenstance, I was looking at Watchbase the other day, and there was all of these novelties by IWC. Now, I'm forever the optimist. I thought, aha, okay, they got rid of all of their ETA based movements and started putting in some of the IWC manufactured, the ones that are from soup to nuts, not the ones that give a new finishing to an ETA. They weren't. Same movements, same everything else. And you can go there and look yourself. Just go to the section that's new watches that we just got at Watchbase, and you'll see that they're doing the same thing. They have some phony baloney name for an ETA movement, and so anyway, so that's and the thing is we become aware of that and more knowledgeable. We can go out and get get some really good watches for a lot less money that are not part of Richemont or one of these other big groups. Even though, speaking of which, I have one on right now. Okay, sent you an email. Okay, thank you. Um, oh man, I sort of went on and on because I've been thinking about this, and I just finished the like I said, I was late, but I just got it up the video on Piaget. Piaget to me is, on the one hand, they're the best deal in town, and on the other hand, you're thinking, I hope these guys are gonna, do they really have a chance now? Behind, with Richemont behind them, somebody's got a Piaget and they got they have a Vacheron Constantin. The Vacheron Constantin and the Piaget have the same movement made by Val Fleurier. People are probably going to go with the Vacheron Constantin just for the reputation. And of course, uh, both of them claim that they're fix theirs up and make them unique. Okay. Um, all right. So, what do you guys think? What have you been talking about? Last night they were talking about food. I don't know what's going on here. Okay, they changed the bezel color. I wonder if my AD will let me buy it if I let them abuse me for a couple of years. Yeah, come on in. Hey, AD. I brought my own whip. Yeah, that's okay. Piaget Polo V1 V1.1 were better than the current ones. Oh, they may have been. The current I got to tell you though, I like the current Polo S. I really do. And the thing is, if you buy a watch, it's just not holding its price. They hold their value. They don't hold their price. The value in terms of the intrinsic value of a Rolex doesn't go up or down any more than any other brand. What goes up or down is what people are willing to pay for it. And that's a lot of people just don't understand that. And one of the things, if you go in, you get a Polo S at a secondary market, it's been discounted by, let's say, 30, 40%. You buy it, comes time to sell it on the used market, you're still comparing it to I mean, they don't know whether you got it from a boutique or where you got it. And so if you, let's say you pay uh, $7,000 for a $14,000 watch, and by $14,000, I mean MSRP of 14,000. All right. And so you get it for seven, comes time to sell it, you're selling a $14,000 watch. And so getting like, let's say you can either 7,000, you might get 8,000, or you might get 65. Not a big loss. You know, like some people leave their math at home when they get excited about something, or they use this Biver S kind of thinking. And I don't know, we don't have to think that way. We can think any way we want to. Um, or more truly, we can think any way we can afford to. And somehow they act like, well, you know, we're just going to sell it to these really rich people, and there's 10 of them that I know. You know, wait a minute, I know 1,000 of people who could pay half that much and have to save for it. And so, market wise, they've got to wise up. And you know, and some companies, this is why, you know, it's almost a miracle to have a company like Harboring Two. You know, they don't produce very many, and if you go on the used market, you rarely find any. And you know, they've got this big stack of Grand Prix awards that they won and keep winning over the years. And you know, that's great. You want to handmade by the designer while the watchmaker's still alive. Yeah. And like FP Jordan has been telling everybody, I might die any minute. And when I do, the prices are going to shoot up. And the funny part is, he's probably right, but he looks like in really good health to me. You know, if his wife doesn't come down on his head with a rolling pin for some of his escapades. Oh, let's see. Okay. Okay. Thanks, Clive. Um, limited edition is just a game to force dealers to carry more stock. I don't know. I tell you, I, I actually have a lot of sympathy for the dealers. I got sympathy for everybody in a watch business. You know, people who want to go in a watch business, I think are nuts. I honestly do. I mean, it's like the old thing: if you want to make a little money in the watch business, start with a lot, and that because you know you got all kinds of people and you have a very funny kind of product. You have a product that is real, actually no longer needed. Before quartz and the whole thing with smartphones, watches were what you needed to be on time somewhere. But now you can look at your phone, your iPad, your computer, your Fitbit. If I want to see the time, I whack my Fitbit and I can tell it's 8:24 right now, and I can look at my watch and it's about 8:24. So okay, what are you guys up to? Um, Speaking of Altiplano, hey Fahrenheit, I was watching your Piaget video, but just was interrupted by this live stream. I'm sorry, Fahrenheit. I don't know what happened to my manners. Right out the window, along with along with my overstock. Hey, Golden Baba, how you doing? Can I play golf with it? Yeah, go ahead. I don't know. You can go. You can play polo with it. Hey, Crappy. Um, Piaget has a very narrow and well-defined niche. I think that's the beauty of belonging to a conglomerate. You can cater to a narrow market. Yeah, you're right. And that's something I agree with that. To me, it was like the gentleman's watch, sort of an old-fashioned gentleman, not the League of Gentlemen watch. It's the one they have. It's got like that thin. hand wound altiplano with a Kevlar band. Like, it's ready for let's go out and I don't know, climb a mountain or something. I got a Kevlar band. You got a little skinny watch, which is really a beautiful watch too. The what you're looking at is it's basically a movement inside a case. There's no dial on top of it. All of the hands and things are part of the movement that are in there, and it's I don't know. I have, but you get Kevlar bands on it. Like, huh? I don't know. Maybe a sort of the gentleman go to a dog fight. You're gonna need something like that. Oh, hey Dwayne, how you doing? Uh, let's see. Okay, what are you guys doing now? People who want to go into net business got to be watched. Yeah, that's true. Oh, you got some snow, Orange Hand? Oh man, that's amazing. Anybody remember when a certain YouTuber said 18 months or so ago that FP Jorbran had just died and the market was done, their watches were now worthless? I don't know what YouTuber said that, um, but I wouldn't trust any YouTuber if I were you. I'll put it that way. There's who was a guy I saw this wonderful guy yesterday. I don't know his name though. He had a YouTube thing and he was talking about what was he talking about? I think it was I forgot what it was. Anyway, so this guy is there. He's got a lot of followers. A lot of people look at his stuff, and he very dressed very formally in a vest somehow. And he's talking about this stuff. And he was talking about how he got ripped off on this thing and what he did and so forth. Really an interesting kind of video. And if I can remember the guy's name, or the name of the find it. It's just, I'll let you know. But it was the thing I liked about it was the guy seemed like, you know, these things happen. They happen to me. They happen to you. They happen to all of us. So let's talk about it. And that's what I like about it. It has something. I got to find out what YouTuber said that FP Jorn was on the way out. Where do these guys get this? I think some people make it up. You got to be careful about predictions because I don't know. Um, you really got to be careful. Some people remember the prediction. Let's see. Yeah. Okie doke. Patience is priceless virtue of for time, yeah, value of time. Yeah, that was the name of the patience. When I got that email from Nicholas Viderek, he said, give me a few days. And I thought, man, I tell you, that's a movement worth waiting for. I, um, I really think it is. The the people, I still haven't heard back from the people at Langenheim. I don't know what's wrong with those guys. Sometimes I'll get thing right back from them. So I said, look, I'm interested in buying a UWD 33.2. What are the arrangements to be made and yada yada yada, and then we could talk about that. Nothing. Heard nothing, and they wonder how come they're in trouble. And they thought it was Marco Lang. He was a problem. I don't think so. Um, Okay, what's going on, you guys? Hey, geezer. Oh, Orange in Tennessee. Dandy watched Daddy Tim. Oh, poor Don. He gets a poor Don gets he gets so much abuse. I didn't know he was still. He used to have a show that was walking around with laundry on the floor. I like Don. I know that he doesn't. He's mad at me, but I still like Don. Uh, a Star Wars story. Hey, Bernard, what's up? Wearing a vest, case back watches, German guy, I think comes to mind. Sound right? I'm not sure, Bernard. It could have been. He the thing I liked about the guy was into the watch. He was into the buying and figuring out what was wrong with the watch or what was right with it. And totally that. It wasn't about his ego, it wasn't about anything but the watch and talking about watches. I thought, man, this is a great guy. You know? And I forgot even how I found it. I was looking for something else, and I thought, I'll take a look at this. I saw this guy. He said, "Whoa!" It's sort of was like the, his entire essence and his background sort of seemed to be a contradiction in terms. But then I listened to the guy, and he's going on just like totally into the watch, and I love that. Um, as much as he and his friends. Uh, Okay, maybe the GMT, maybe the slow responses are due to COVID. Yeah, GMT masters, exactly what I was thinking. They got, you know, four people on ventilators. And, gee, we can't get to you right away. Yeah, no, that's something that I'm very much aware of. Um, you know, we're in a really isolated place in the country. um, you know, practicing social distancing, going through bars of soap. We were told you're supposed to sing "Happy Birthday" when you wash your hands because that's about takes about 20 seconds. So I've been singing "Happy Birthday" a lot. It's weird stuff. Hi, True Junior. For the Polo S, for example, let me see. What's the skinny about Breguet watches? Now, Breguet is owned by Swatch, so they got a lot of power behind them. You know, I never know Breguet is an enigma in a lot of ways. They have some of the coolest watches I've ever seen, and but I don't know. You know, they again another thing that everybody wants to sell the highest price watch they can. Not very many people get away with it. Groenfeld do, but they have handmade watches. Um, FP Journe does, and they have a super high quality. Kerry Voot and Lannon does, and a few other places do, but most of them don't. And these great big mass market things and mass produce. How do you mass produce watches on a scale that Swatch companies do? And I don't know, but they come up with some wonderful designs and concepts. The whole concept of the tradition, I just think is fantastic. And the prices will come down. They'll just boop, they'll go down, and so I'm not worried about it. So I talking to that woman and looking at the $39,000 price tag on her watch, and I felt bad for her because I'd already seen them on Chrono 24 for half of that. So I found a YouTube channel that appears to be a renowned collector, John Goldberger. Great video montages, amazing vintage watches. Hmm, I'm not sure who he is. John Goldberger 13. I don't know him on Chan, but thank you. Hi, Tim. Um, Case back if he is in the right fellow we're talking about. Good musician too. Huh, okay, good. Tony Wilder 5K. Uh, okie doke. Best value watch. All right, everyone's going off somewhere. 7137 and 7337 are awesome. And that's something that I don't know what they look that's what are their street names? I'll put it that way since I don't know the numbers any more than you know the difference between a caliber 7 and 8 that Lang and Hine made. Dwayne, hi Dwayne. I follow Goldberger on Instagram. I'll check out his channel out. Thanks. Okay, Try watching The Beautiful Watch, a channel with very few videos, but some cool vintage stuff. Sounds good. Sounds good. An Italian. All right. An Italian man. Huh. Okay. Um, Okie doke. All right. Well, went over time. I was on time. I was late with other stuff. So I'm going to have to run. As soon as I hear more from VitaRec, I'll let everybody know. But seems to be on some track, which is a good thing for us. GM Shadows traders, how you doing? Take care, and everybody stay safe. And be back at 4 o'clock Eastern time if you're awake around. And